Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on wherever you're dialing in from. Welcome to another exciting session of Employee Center Academy. It's part of Live on ServiceNow series of umbrella of events. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I'm Smriti Gupta, Senior Outbound Product Manager with Unified Employee Experience Team. This is the team that manages Employee Center Pro, and related conversational integrations with Microsoft Teams, Now Mobile, Zoom, and so on. A very warm welcome to this session. So, a very brief introduction to what Employee Center Academy is about. This is literally a product deep dive session where we pick up a particular product feature or capability, and we explain the business value for that capability. We make you understand why it's important for you to consider for your organization. We do a very deep technical analysis of what are the family or plugin requirements that you would need for that capability, how you could implement it in your environments, and so on and so forth. Um, and we have covered a great deal of sessions previously in last 2 or 3 years. We have done employee news, we have done experience and service feedback, performance related topic, then some of the other strategic topics like organizational change management or design techniques or multi-phase deployment strategies for your employee center migration, and so on and so forth. If you are still a beginner in employee center topic, I would suggest to pick up the entire list that we have for the Employee Center Academy and start revisiting and browsing through these, because this is gonna help you tremendously in getting ramped up on any of the particular capability. All the recordings and slide decks for our previous sessions are available. We have shared the link in the chat. Some ground rules for the session. Please feel free to use the Q&A panel to ask your questions. We have panelists monitoring and manning the Q&A panel, so please feel free. We may or may not have time for live question and answers at the end of this session. If we do, we'll allow you to talk. But till then, please do not raise your hand. If you have any questions, please drop it in the Q&A panel. If you have any feedback or comment that we should consider, please feel free to leverage the webinar chat to drop your comments or interact with each other there. The session is being recorded, and we will upload the slide deck and recording. So please don't worry about taking notes. The SLA is typically 7 to 10 days. After that, you can check that out on YouTube and community. So the topic for today is notifications for Employee Center. It's a very recent capability that we have launched with our January 2025 release. One super important call out here is it is not dependent on Employee Center Pro license. So it is available for both Employee Center and Employee Center Pro customers, right? We will talk about other important requirements that you should be cognizant of before you consider exploring this within your organization in the later chapter. But for now, this is what the topic is about. We're going to go through the brief overview or introduction of notifications. Then we also have a live demo planned, and we're going to share some additional resources. To introduce the panelists for today's session, I have Ashutosh with me, who is my inbound counterpart, who is the product SME for this particular capability. And I have with me from engineering, Arjun and Gauri Shankar. Thank you so much, team, for joining in. I will take a brief pause to let you say hi, Ashutosh.
Yeah, hi everyone. Excited to be here. I hope you guys enjoy the session.
Thank you so much. Arjun and Gauri Shankar, would you like to say hi?
Hey everyone.
Hi everyone. Good day, good morning, good afternoon. I hope it will be a great session.
Thank you so much. Besides the product and engineering, we also have Mohit, who's the Senior Outbound Product Manager for Microsoft Integrations and Now Mobile. And from the Product Docs team, I have Ravi, And I also have Mike monitoring the Q&A. Thank you so much, team, for supporting today's session. So let's move on to brief introduction of notifications. So I want to start here with a very simple question. How many unread emails do you have in your inbox right now? Chances are there are a lot of unread emails, right? And that is the core of problem we are trying to solve here. Employees today are literally drowning in emails and messages and updates spread across different platforms. And important information often gets buried or worse, gets missed altogether. That's why notifications within the employee portal or employee center matters, especially in today's hybrid or remote work environment where we can't rely on people checking inboxes or the action items within different employee center widgets every hour. That's literally not possible. And real-time communication is no longer a nice to have feature, it's super critical. So employees expect their workplace tools to work pretty much like the consumer apps that they have on their personal devices or within their personal lives. Think about how apps like Instagram or LinkedIn or banking apps notify you instantly about things that matter. So your workplace experience should also be just as responsive. And with notification system built into the portal, we are giving employees timely and targeted information when it matters without them having to go look for it. So think of use cases where portal notifications could come in really very handy. Suppose there's a critical incident or a system downtime and employees don't need to wait for an email or dig through the status pages. They get an alert right away on the notifications bar or tray. Or if someone opens a service request or an HR case and they're kept in the loop on progress automatically instead of wondering if it's stuck somewhere, right? Or it could be for actionables like approvals or tasks. So a quick nudge ensures the right people act quickly and keep the workflow moving. The result of all this is employees stay more engaged because they are not out of the loop. They're more productive because they can act faster. And communications become much more efficient because we are reducing the need for all those manual follow-ups and emails, right? So it brings in a lot of clarity, speed, and consistency to employee communications. So let's talk about the notifications on Employee Center portal, how the experience looks like. At the surface, the experience is simple and familiar. A bell icon appears in the portal header. This is where users will find a notification tray that shows alerts for things like tasks or updates or approvals or comments on content. So as you can see in the screenshot, it brings all this information into one place. So users are not hunting around on different Employee Center portal pages or digging through different emails, right? Now, very important call out here that this functionality is available out of the box with both Employee Center and Employee Center Pro, right? So you don't need any special licenses for this. And in terms of requirements, you would require Yokohama family release, right? So this is a very important and critical call out. It requires Yokohama family release. It's available for both Employee Center Pro customers. And you would also need the latest Employee Center plugin update and an additional plugin or application called Notifications for Employee Center. I will reiterate all these requirements at the end of my session, but just an important call out here. Now, coming back to the bell icon itself, it is pretty much configurable. You can choose to turn it on or off, depending on whether you want to turn on the notifications or turn it off, depending on whatever makes sense for your portal, right? If it's enabled, you also get to control over how the badge count works, right? So on top of the bell icon, you would be able to see either a red dot or the count in red of the number of unread or unseen notifications. That is essentially what we call the badge count. By default, it shows the number of unseen notifications, meaning notifications the user hasn't opened yet. But you can also switch it to reflect unread notifications, depending on what fits best within your organization, right? Now, inside the notification tray, users will see a unified list of updates across different activities, such as service request updates or HR case progress or approvals or tasks or even system alerts or news article related or content engagement related activities such as comments or reactions on a news article, right? We have provided a set of out of the box notifications or use cases that you can just kind of plug in and play. So you don't have to um, build the wheel from scratch, right? We have done some background work or um, set up the foundation for you to kind of start going on about. So the content of all such notifications is configurable, um, both for the out-of-the-box notifications as well as any of the new content, notification content that you might be creating. You can align the language and format it to your organization's tone and requirements, whether you want it in form of a more formal alert or you just want it as a lightweight task reminder. That messaging can be altered. The icons that you see on the notifications that you can alter, right? And we have added some additional options like uh, in order to reduce some noise, some notifications can be grouped together. For example, if 15 people are commenting on a news article, they will see a single grouped notification rather than 15 individual ones. So we have made all those configuration options available for admins to kind of make all those choices when they are configuring the notification experience. Next on, let's take a look at how the users can manage their notifications more effectively, especially when the list starts to get pretty long. Now, to help with that, the notification tray includes filters that lets users narrow down what they are looking at, right? We have a set of standard filters. So for example, if they only want to see urgent messages, they can quickly apply the critical filters and they can see the critical notification, something that has been marked as super important for them to review, right? It could be something like system downtime notification or something. Or if they are looking for upcoming nudges, they can choose reminders. So this could be a task notification that they have already marked as remind me later. So they can filter it out. These two are called as standard filters. Now, besides these standard filters, we also have notification classification filters that can help you narrow down the task and request and comments, right? So in the screenshot, if you see on the filter on top image, I have critical and reminder. These are the standard filters. On the bottom, I see comment, request, and task. These are the classification filters. So notifications could be, it could be type of task, it could be type of request, or it could be type of news article comment or something. So all these filters are, the classification filters are configurable. You should be able to, like the scope for you to add or edit these classification filters based on your organizational use case, right? Now, at the top right of the tray, there's also a global action called Mark All as Read, which is available via the ellipsis icon. The ellipsis icon that you see on top of filter by, that's essentially the global action for marking all notifications as read. That is helpful when users want to clear their list quickly, especially when they've already seen the updates elsewhere or they don't need to act on them anymore. Now, beyond just filtering, each notification also comes with a few action options to help users manage their workload. So they can mark a specific notification as read if they are done with it, or they can choose remind me and pick a time frame. Maybe they want to come back to it in 30 minutes or in an hour or even next week. And if the notification is not relevant anymore, they can clear it from the tray altogether. So all these actions help reduce the cognitive overload of deciding what to do with every alert and helps make sure that nothing important is missed out. Now, till now, we have been focusing on notifications within Employee Center portal. It is also important to recognize that notifications are also available across other omni-channel experiences like virtual agent and now mobile and email and so on. So, for example, a user might get an approval notification on the portal, but also see it pop up in a virtual agent chat or receive it as an email, depending on how their experience has been configured by the admins in their organization. But here's the key thing to note. These omni-channel notifications are managed separately from the portal notifications that we have been discussing so far. So that means if you're setting up notification rules or content or behaviors in the portal, those won't automatically carry over to Now Mobile or Virtual Agent, right? So each channel needs to be configured independently based on how you want notifications to appear and behave in that specific context. So this is just a pointer that you need to keep in mind as you design your broader employee experience notifications experience. On this screenshot, here's an example that should make this distinction a bit more concrete. So what you're seeing in the screenshot is the notifications experience within the virtual agent chatbot. This is completely separate from the portal notifications that we covered a few minutes earlier. And in virtual agent, notifications can show up as part of a chat conversation, and they can be either simple messages like a status update, or it could be actionable where the users can take an action directly within the chat, for example, approving a request or acknowledging an alert. And these notifications can be delivered through different channels like Slack or Microsoft Teams or web-based chat window, depending on where your employees are most active. So if you want employees to get nudged in Slack instead of email, or see a quick reminder while chatting in Teams, virtual agent gives you that flexibility. And just a reminder, like we mentioned earlier, these need to be configured separately from the portal setup. Similarly, on the Now Mobile app, you can configure both push notifications and in-app notifications. So push notifications appear directly on the user's mobile devices, useful for time-sensitive updates like approvals or incident alerts. And in-app notifications, on the other hand, are shown while the user is actively using the app, helping them informed without disrupting their flow. So just like the virtual agent, it's important to remember that these mobile notifications are configured separately from what you set up in the Employee Center portal. Now, while it's helpful to know all these other channels and the scope of notification that exists for all these other channels, for the scope of this session, we'll be focusing specifically on the notifications experience within Employee Center portal and how to configure it. I will take a brief pause here before we move on to the first demo. Ashutosh, is there anything that you would like to specially highlight or call out or probably address from the Q&A panel?
No, Smriti, you've got it all covered. One question that I have been seeing multiple times about the release. So as my colleague mentioned, you need at least to be on Yokohama release to access this capability. You can install the plugin, and this is accessible for both EC and EC Pro. Over to you, Smriti.
Thank you, Ashutosh. So now that we have walked through the notifications framework, let's take a look at what this experience actually looks like for an end user. So I hope you're able to see my screen, and I hope it's not too small to read.
Yes, Smriti, this is fine.
Okay. So for the part of this demo, we'll follow Eric, an IT manager at his organization, and he has just logged into his Employee Center portal in the morning to start his day. Now, as soon as Eric logs in, he's greeted by the familiar bell icon in the top right corner of the portal. This is where notifications are surfaced. Right away, he can see that new updates are waiting for him. And this is indicated by the count, this 9+ count, or what we call as badge count on the bell. Clicking on the bell opens the notification tray, right? So this is where Eric can see unified list of updates, everything from assigned task, service request, HR case updates to approvals, and even reactions or comments on published content. So Eric recently published an article on company's news center about AI agents in the workplace. And he's pleased to see how much traction that article is getting, right? So here's the grouped notification telling that Pamela and 4 others have left a comment, and people are reacting positively to this article. You can just directly click on this notification, be directed to the article that he published, see all the comments and reactions, right? So this is how he can leverage the notifications tray to be directed right to the action item. If you notice, instead of flooding his notifications tray with all these different notifications, similar notifications, we have grouped these notifications. And this is helping him keep things organized. Now, to focus on what matters most, Eric can apply filters on top. So like I have talked about, he can apply a critical filter to just see critical notification, or he can apply reminder filter to see what all reminders he has set on notifications. Then he can also just check the request related notifications, or let's say all the task related notifications that he has, and just focus on that for the moment. So these are the filters options that he has out of the box available with him. This helps him stay focused on a very critical task. He has this unread filter here that just highlights the notifications that he's yet to read, right? Then on the global action, he has mark all as read. So in case he has already performed action on all these items, we can mark all of these as read, right? Or he can just go ahead and clear notification if it's not relevant for him, right? Or put it as a reminder, or mark it as read. So Eric sees that he has been assigned a request for an approval from one of the requests that Pamela has raised. So you can click on it, see the approval directly, check this, whatever approval it is, make the action, approve, reject, whatever it is. So it's making his life much more easier. So that's a very quick look at the front end experience for notifications. Just taking a pause here, Ashutosh, anything we should be covering again, highlighting again?
Yes, Smriti. So one question that I've been seeing multiple times, that does this replace email notifications? So no, it does not replace your email notifications. It is in complement to that. It is just an addition to your email notifications. That's all, Smriti. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. All right, moving back to the slide. Now that we have covered the demo for the notifications front-end experience, let's see how we can configure notifications. So admins have full control to create and configure notification content pretty easily. This includes writing the notification text with dynamic placeholders that personalizes the messages, like inserting a incident name or a request ID, or even adding your own icons to make the alerts more visually clear. And they can also classify notifications as critical to draw extra attention, or as reminders to gently nudge employees about upcoming tasks. To keep things tidy, admins can group notifications when multiple related actions happen. For example, instead of seeing 5 separate alerts, users might see a grouped notification like Joe and 3 others have commented on your article. And this improves the overall clarity and reduces the notification overload. Additionally, admins can configure notifications how they're showing up in terms of read or unread indicator or seen, unseen indicator, right? So this helps employees quickly identify what's new or what still needs attention. To make things easier, this system also comes with pre-configured notifications out of the box for common use cases such as incidents, service requests, HR tasks, news articles, and many more. This means, just to reiterate myself, this means that you don't really have to start from scratch, and you can just leverage on the out-of-the-box content that we have and start building on other use cases that are super relevant for your organization. So that was a brief overview of all the admin configurations available for notifications. Let's go deeper for each step. Now, to deliver an optimal notifications experience, admins work primarily with 3 different tables in the system. So let's start with the first one, the notifications configuration table. So this is the table where admins set up one-time configurations that control how notifications behave in the overall Employee Center portal. So all the filters and actions that we have just talked about, essentially, you could use the notification configuration table to configure all these behaviors. Some key things that you can configure here include whether the bell icon appears in the portal header and if it shows the notification count or not. If you don't allow the notification count to show, it will just appear as a red dot there, and it won't show the count exactly. You could also enable the mark all as red option. That's the global action on the notification tray, so users can clear their alerts very quickly. For filters, you could set up standard filters like critical and reminder, or you could set up notification classification filters like comment, request, and task. And you could also define card actions here. So this is the option users get for each notification, such as mark as read, or remind me, or clear notification, right? Then the second table admins work with is the portal notifications table. This is where they define the trigger conditions for each type of notification. In other words, deciding when to send a notification and who should receive it. For when to send, admins can set triggers based on a variety of system events, such as specific events happening, or new records being inserted, or existing records being updated, right? So admins can select the target table related to the notification and define filter conditions to narrow it down exactly which record or which event should trigger a notification. So for example, I want to trigger a notification on incident commented. I can select that from my events list, right? And set up notification for that. Or like you see in the screenshot, if I want to trigger notification on the event, like there's a reaction that has gone on my published news article, I can go ahead and create a notification content for that, right? So you need to identify what are the trigger where you need to push that notification, and you need to set it up accordingly. In case you have more complex scenarios, admins can also use advanced scripting to precisely control the trigger criteria, right? On the recipient side, admins can specify which users or groups should receive the notification, including the admin users and the viewers. And there's also an option to include the user who triggered the notification themselves. So they can get alerted on their own actions if needed. Now, the third and the final table that admins need to be aware of, or they need to go to this table to configure various things, is notification content configuration table. So this is where admins can configure what the notification actually says and how it looks like. On the content side, so they can go ahead and configure the content or the icons for that particular notification. On the content side, admins can define a content template which is the message displayed in the notification. They can configure the content parameters that kind of inserts the variable data into the message, like the incident name or the request number. It kind of makes the notifications more personalized and relevant. And then you can also add an action URL. This is the link users click to go directly to that related record or page from that notification. On the icon side, admins can enable custom icons to visually differentiate notification types. They can choose icon styles. They can invert colors for better visibility, and they can set background colors or shapes to make notifications stand out. Now let's see all this on the instance, the admin experience part of it. So the three tables that I was just talking about, you would see under Employee Center, we have portal notifications. And these are the three tables that I have been calling out in my slides, right? So the first step is notification configurations. This is where you configure the overall one-time global actions and filters. So we have out of the box record for Employee Center configuration. You can go ahead and make changes to this one, right? So you can select the portal. So for example, if you want to set up notifications for Employee Center Pro Kiosk instead of Employee Center, you can go ahead and select that portal, right? Make this active, ensure this record is active. And you can define the tray configurations here. You can enable or disable the bell icon. Disabling bell icon is special for use cases where you want to turn off notifications, right? Then you can show the notification count. So in case you don't want to show the notification count, it will just appear as a red dot on top of the bell icon. You can decide the badge count by unseen or unread. So by default, we are shipping it as show unseen count only. So if a end user has not clicked on, not seen that particular notification, only that count will be shown, right? If I click on that particular notification, that is when I mark that notification as read. Otherwise, if I've just scanned the tray briefly, I've seen that notification, right? So I can go ahead and show the unread count instead. These are the global tray actions. By out of the box, we are shipping mark all as read as one of the global tray action. Then we also have standard filters, critical and reminder, and the notification classification filters, right? So you can go ahead and enable, disable it, or create your new configurable filters here. This is for classification filters specifically. Then on the card configuration for each card actions, you can define as mark as read or remind me or clear notifications. Moving on to this second table that we talked about, portal notifications. This is essentially where you kind of configure all the trigger conditions for your notifications, right? So let's say if I have this particular notification, notify an author if news has a reaction, right? So I can give a name to this particular notification record. I can select the category for this particular notification, right? Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, I would like to take a few questions. So there is a common question that do we need any subscription like HRSD or ITSM? So no, if you have access to your Employee Center or Employee Center Pro, you can access portal notifications. The only key requirement is the Yokohama release. Over to you, Smriti.
Awesome. So you can give a name to your notification content, right? You can mark it as mandatory. So mandatory is essentially if you want to mark a notification as critical, you can select this checkbox. You can select a category for your notification. It could be anything like incident or request or whatever categories we have available, notification categories, right? Then this is the first tab is when to trigger this notification. This is essentially the place where you define the trigger condition. You have either an event that could trigger a particular notification, or you could have a record change. In case of record change, you will have to select the table again, right? In case of event, you will need to select the event. And you can add your additional conditions to filter it down. Then in case you have some advanced scripting criteria, you can define it in the advanced condition. If not, you can just turn it off, right? Then in case you want to trigger this notification to, so this tab is essentially deciding to whom do you want to trigger this notification, right? So include the person whose action triggered the notification, yes or no, you can define the recipients, right? Or if you want to trigger it to a group of users, you can use this additional recipients table to select the group. Or in case, let's say it's a content related notification, and I want to notify the whole content management group that I have. So I can go ahead and select the group from here. So I can just go ahead and click edit and select my content engagement group from here, right? Mark it as save. So the next time this particular triggers a notification, all the people marked in this particular group, they will also receive a notification. So that's how I can decide who will receive this particular notification, right? Then the third tab I have here is contents. So I can go ahead and define the content that needs to be displayed for this particular notification. So let's say I have the news article related notification. I can go ahead and define the content. If I have switched off the advanced criteria, I can define the content template, I can define the content parameters and action URL to define how my notification looks like and what is the behavior for that particular notification gonna be. If I have some advanced criteria, for example, it's a news article related notification, and I really want to group all the multiple notifications so that my end user is not bombarded with 15 different notifications if 15 different people have commented on a news article. So I have added that scripting criteria to group all the different all the related notifications together. This is how I can use the advanced scripting capability. Next on, I can define the icons for that particular notification as well. I have all the glyph library here. I can select that icon, or I could use one of my own custom icons, right? I can play around with the icons and colors and everything. This is also the place where you see the third table that I was talking about. So the third table is notification content configurations. You could either go it from the related list of the triggers, or you could go from this table. So the record that I was just showing, the action added on news article. So there are two ways to navigate or define how you want to create your content. This is essentially the same record that I was just showing. So this is the third table, right? Now, let's just try configuring a use case. So I have already talked about that we are providing certain set of out-of-the-box notifications. So these are all the different out-of-the-box notifications that you will be able to access and leverage. in case you have the notifications plugin and the Employee Center plugin updated, right? Besides that, if you see a new button on top, you could always go ahead and create your own custom notifications. So once I click on this new provider content, I should select the portal content since I am configuring the notifications for portal content here or Employee Center portal. And then I can go ahead and create the content for my custom notifications. This is how I can go ahead and define my custom notifications. Since we don't want this demo to run over a lot, I have already created a custom notification for you to see, and I'm just going to go over this. So let's say within my organization, I want to update my users about an outage, any of the IT system outage that we are experiencing right now, and I want to update my end users about it, right? So I have created a custom notification here. It's a very simple, easy configuration steps, few steps that you can create your own notifications. Just give it a few seconds to load. Yeah. So I have created a notification, critical notification for outage. I have selected the category as incident communication plan and marked it as mandatory since this is one of the use cases where I want to mark this notification as critical, right? Amongst when to send, I've set the trigger as a record change. I want to trigger this notification on this table, the outage table, even if a new record is inserted into that table, or even if there's just an update made on the existing record. So both in case of insert and update, I want to trigger a notification, right? So this is how I have set my trigger for this particular notification. I could go ahead and select some conditions as well, but for this particular use case, I don't want to add any conditions. I don't have any advanced scripting condition here, so I can skip that. Who will receive this? So I want to send it globally across the entire organization. I don't want to trigger it to each individual people. So on the additional recipients, I have selected the entire sys user table here. So all the active users marked in this table will receive my notification, right? Then I can just go ahead and create a new provider content directly from here. I have already created my content for this particular notification. I'm just going to check that out. Right. So this is where I have created the content for my notification. You will need to go ahead and give a name to this record. And then the notification that you have just created and saved, you will need to select that from the list. So if I click here, I can see all the different notifications available for me, and I'll have to select that. So it basically takes into record that at what trigger point and to whom do I need to push this particular notification, right? I can go ahead and select the portal as well. If I have some advanced scripting criteria, I can select this advanced. Otherwise, I can just configure my content here. So the content template, I have added my message here, and I have added placeholders for my parameters here. So in the curly brackets, this is how I add the placeholder for my parameters. I have 4 parameters that need to be added here, and they need to be comma separated. If I don't know the parameters already, the exact names of the parameters, I can select this field option here and select the parameters one by one from here, right? And this is the message, this is the parameters, and this is the action that needs to be taken. So for the sake of this use case, I wanted to be redirected to a knowledge article, a simple knowledge article that says in case of outage, what are the next steps that the end users could take in the interim. So I've created a knowledge article and I've added a simple URL in the action URL for that particular knowledge article. I can also go ahead and configure the icons. This is a warning sign that I have configured as an icon, right? So all of this is done. I can just click update. Now let's see how to trigger that. So if you remember, the trigger that I added was on record, either update or insert, right? It's on, the trigger is on record change for this particular table, CMDB CI outage, right? I will just click update on this. Navigate to my outages table. Let's say the first outage I have, I'm just gonna go ahead and make an update to this, right? So, yep, I have just made some updates to when the outage is expected to begin and end. And it's an outage for Salesforce automation, right? I will just go ahead and click update. And let's see, impersonate Eric. What does Eric see now? See, this is the critical alert or the outage notification that we have just configured. Access for Salesforce automation is down due to this is the outage number that we have from this date time to this date and time, resolution in progress. And if I click on this particular notification, I will be redirected to the knowledge article with the interim solution and the resolution timelines, right? And whom to reach out to in case they have any further questions. This is how you can go ahead and configure your own notifications depending on whatever use case you have. This is just one use case that we have picked up. And you can go ahead and create your own notifications depending on your organizational use cases. I will take a very brief pause here. Ashutosh, anything that we need to call out or just explain again?
No, Smriti, I think you got it all covered.
Awesome. Going back to the slides. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and launch a poll. We have pretty much explained the complete notifications capability to you, both the front-end experience and back-end experience. I know some of you have already explored it in your production environment. Some of you are testing it out and exploring it in your sub-prod environment. And we would like to hear your thoughts. If you are willing to share your feedback, if you're willing to share your thoughts, what are the other use cases that you want us to implement out of the box? You just want to talk about this particular capability to the product team directly, please feel free to mark your nominations here. We would love to talk to you. I will just give it a couple more minutes. I already see people pouring in chat with their use cases. Molly, we would love to talk to you. If you're open to talking to us, please feel free to mark your nominations via polls. Awesome. I will let this poll stay open for a couple more minutes and then move on to the additional guidance. Right. So we have added a few FAQs for those of you who have some related questions on this particular capability. I won't go through the entire list, but one important thing that I would like to call out from this FAQ section is, and since we are going to share this slide deck, You can go through these FAQs in your own time. But one thing I would like to call out is out of the box, we are making the notification history available for up to 60 days, right? So if a end user has not checked his notifications for the last 60 days, he should be able to go ahead and check that. And this is configurable. This time duration is configurable by admins. So if they want to reduce or increase this time duration, they can set it up and do that, right? All right. So just to reiterate the requirements for notifications, you would need Yokohama Family Release. You would need to download the new plugin notifications for Employee Center. You would need to update your existing Employee Center application to version 36.0.8 or above. And the rules required to set up and configure all these notifications is notifications provider admin. This is the role that you would need. I'm just going to take a very brief pause here. Is there any question that we would like to address from the Q&A panel?
Yeah, so there is a question that will this presentation and recording be shared with us?
Yes, so the recording and the session slides will be shared. Like I've already said, the SLA is typically 7 to 10 days. After 10 days, you should expect the session slide and recording on community. With this, we come to an end of this topic. If you are looking for additional help, we have a ton of resources on Employee Center, Community Product Hub. We have FAQs, product demos, upcoming trainings, events, implementation guidance, release blogs, and everything. Please feel free to explore that. You can catch us live in our other events. We have the deployment officers. The next one is coming up next week. So in case we have not been able to address any of your questions, please feel free to join us. It's an open forum Q&A session. The next officers that we have is specifically for employee communications capability. This requires Employee Center Pro license. We do that every first Thursday of a month. So the next one is due on 3rd of July. And one very important call out before you guys log out is Employee Center Confidential Roadmap webinars. The next sessions are coming up next week. We are super, super, super excited for that. If you have not had a chance to register for this, please do so. We are going to discuss the July release roadmap in that in depth. And we have some super amazing capabilities to talk about in that particular session. Most of you would be glad to know that most of those capabilities that we are going to talk about for the July release are Employee Center specific, not Pro specific. Many of you keep complaining that we keep coming up with capabilities for Pro only. So this is the roadmap webinar to look out for. We will add the link in the chat. The next session for next month is appointment booking. It's an Employee Center Pro capability. We'll meet you again on 16th of July at the same time. Hope this session has been useful for you. We would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining. Have a great rest of your day.